by Swami Atmakhanananda.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangai Stuštuvagam Sastanubhih Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti na Starksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadhatu. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat.
I welcome Shri Narendra Maharaj, President of Ramakrishna Math Tiruvalla, to offer the words of welcome to Honorable Prime Minister of India.
Om Tapakaya Chadarmasya Sarvadharmasya Rupine Avadara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namah. Namaste, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. When the whole world is passing from problems to crisis, we are trying to seek external solutions. But Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda and Sri Sarada Devi, who are considered as the modern Holy Trinity, have categorically stated that all problems and crises at the individual, institutional, national and global level are internal, and therefore internal strength is the only remedy. During the coming 7 days, we have gathered here to gain internal strength through the Vachanmitra Satram for the first time in the spiritual history of India. Friends, here is a person who has a long and sacred spiritual links with the Ramakrishna movement, who is both internally and externally strong to solve not only the problems of India, but also the problems of the whole world. Sir, your vision and mission to build a new India is being recognized and honored all over the world. We are privileged and blessed by your online presence on this occasion. We feel that you are the real champion in blending technology and spirituality by the video conference inauguration of the first Vachanmitra Satram in India. I welcome you in the name of the Holy Trinity. I welcome you on behalf of the Sannyasins and Sannyasinis. I welcome you on behalf of the Brahmacharis and Brahmacharinis. And I welcome you on behalf of all the devotees who have gathered from the different corners of India. Namaste.
Now, Honorable Prime Minister will deliver the inaugural address on the occasion of the first Vachanmitra Satram.
Namaskaram. Greetings to everyone. Swami Nirvivekanandaji and all the devotees of Sri Sri Thakur Ramakrishna Paramhans assembled here today, greetings. I am privileged to be present among you at the beginning of the 7-day session of Shri Ramakrishna Vachanmitra Satram. When I think of the words of a great mind from Bengal, translated into Malayalam, being read and debated in Kerala, I'm humbled by how ideas are shared and adapted across our country. What could be better example of Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat? This practice that you have started builds on a long tradition of making the teachings of the scriptures, the words of great gurus, available to the common people. This is part of the long oral tradition of India that has evolved constantly to adapt to changing times and circumstances, keeping the eternal values intact. This tradition evolved from the Shrutis to the Smritis. The Shrutis, the 4 Vedas and Upanishads, are the source of dharma. They are sacred knowledge transmitted by great Indian sages from generation to generation. Shrutis are believed to be revealed divine knowledge transmitted orally. Smriti is a class of texts that are based on memory and interpretation. Since the Vedas and the Upanishads were difficult to understand for a common people, the Smritis were written to explain, interpret, and clarify primary revelation through stories and moral lessons. Thus, it is clear that the epics, Puranas, and the Arthashastra of Kautilya are all Smritis. The effort to reach every person through the means that are best suited to them continue over time. To reach the common people, there was a need to make dharma or right living more accessible, closer to their daily lives. The Bhagavat describes Deva Rishi Narada singing the praise of God. Aho Devarshi Dhanyoayam Yat Kirti Shang Dhanvana Gayan Madhya Nindam Tantraya Rama Ratyanturam Jagat. अहो ये देवर्षि नारद जी धन्य है जो वीणा बजाते बजाते हरिगुण गाते और मस्त होते इस दुखी संसार को आनंदित करते रहते हैं. The Bhakti saints used music, poetry, local languages to bring God closer to people. They broke the barriers of caste, class, religion, and gender. The message of the saints was carried further by folk singers, the Kathavachak, the Dastan Goish, Kabir's Dohas, Mira's Bhajans were carried by singers from villages to villages. India is a land that is blessed with a rich cultural and intellectual milieu. Our land is home to writers, scholars, saints, and seers who express themselves freely and fearlessly. And whenever the history of human civilization has entered the era of knowledge, India has shown the way. A false perception was created about India that India needed social, political, and economic reform initiated by outsiders. This became a reason to justify colonialism too. Such notions were absolutely false because India's soil is that soil from where change has always originated. And this change originated from within, driven by our saints and seers who made it their mission to transform society and undertake mass movements to eradicate evils that may have entered into our society. Our saints integrated each and every citizen in their quest for social reform. Nobody was left outside the ambit. This is why our civilization stands tall, overcoming obstacles. Those civilizations that did not change with time vanish. We, on the other hand, even altered practices over centuries. Some practice may have been prevalent a few centuries ago, but if it was redundant, it was altered. We have always been open to new ideas, though our history, our science did things that may seem small, but their impact was big. And this altered the course of our history. Long before any faith, any culture, India had women saints who took up the issue of gender equality. They wrote fearlessly and expressed themselves through their powerful writings. In Hindu philosophy, time is accepted as a very important factor of the absolute. We are dikkal badhit, conditioned by space and time. The role of the Guru is to interpret the internal values in the context of the time, so that like a river that flows and renews itself as it flows, the streams of knowledge is ever fresh and vibrant. The scripture says, प्रेरकः सूचक अश्वयो वाचको दर्शक अस्तथा, शिक्षको बोधक अश्वयो षडेते trade, handicrafts, and technical development. Could there be a better example of a teacher setting standards for the advancement of the society? Speaking of Sri Thakur, Sri Krishna Paramahans, in this gathering may seem like carrying coals to new castle, but I cannot stop myself from mentioning those attributes that make him so relevant to present times. He was a part of the tradition of Bhakti saints, and in the Kathamrit we find many references to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his trances, his songs, his utter devotion. But he renewed the tradition and made it stronger. He broke the mental barriers that keep us apart, barriers between religions, between castes. He was the saint of social harmony. His message is that of tolerance, of devotion, of surrendering oneself to the divine of one Lord with different names, the Jnani, the Yogi, and the devotee, the same being whom Jnani is called Brahma, the Absolute is called Atma, universal soul by yogis, and Bhagavan, a personal God with divine attributes by devotees. He lived the Muslim way of life. He lived the Christian way of life. He practiced tantras also. He found that there were many ways to the divine, but followed with devotion, they all lead to one goal. The reality is one and the same. He said, the difference is in the name and form. It is like a water, called in different languages by different names, such as Jal, Neer, Pani, and so forth. Likewise, in German, it is Wasser. The French call it EU, Aqua in Italian, Mizu in Japanese. In Kerala, you call it Vellum. All of them denote one and the same thing, the difference being in the name only. In the same way, some address the reality as Allah, some as God, some as Brahma, some as Kali, and others by such names as Ram, Jesus, Durga, Hari. His teachings are particularly relevant to us today when we are confronted with people who use religion, caste to divide and create animosity. Mahatma Gandhi said, Ramakrishna's life enables us to see God face to face. No one can read the story of his life without being convinced that God alone is a real and that all else is an illusion. Sri Ramakrishna is a link between the ancient and the modern. He showed how the ancient ideals and experiences could be realized even by following the modern way of life. Simple anecdotes, simple messages told simply, but due to their very simplicity, these were embedded in the minds of the listeners. If we had not a teacher like this, would there have been a disciple like Swami Vivekananda? The great Karma Yogi took forward the thought of his Guru, Jatra Jiv, Tatra Shiv. Where there is a living being, there is a Shiva. And in Bengali, Jive Daya Noya, Shiva Jnane Jiv Seva. Not kindness to living beings, but serving the living being as Shiva himself. To this lifelong dedication to serving the Daridra Narayan, Swami Vivekananda said, where should you go to seek God? Are not all the poor, the miserable, the weak God? Why not worship them first? Let these people be your God. His clarion call now is wanted intense karma yoga with unbounded courage and indomitable strength in the heart. Then only will the people of the country be roused. Continues to inspire us to action, continues to give us courage. Ramakrishna Mission's record of service is evidence of this commitment. We find the mission in poor areas, among tribals, in areas stricken by need for a disaster, trying to alleviate suffering. It does not matter what community the person is from, what her caste or beliefs are. All that is important is that he or she can be helped through selfless service. On the website of the mission, we find the Brahma Vakya, Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitaya cha. For one's own salvation and for the welfare of the world. Seva Paramo Dharmaha. Prithvivim Dharmana Grutam Shivam Shonaman Charem Vishwaha. यह अर्थवत में कहा है, धर्म के द्वारा धारण की गई इस मातृभूमि की सेवा हम सदैव करते रहे। मैत्री, करुणा, मुदित अपेक्षा नाम, सुख दुख पुण्य अपुण्य विषयानाम वनातस चित्त प्रसादनम। दूसरे का दुख देखकर मन में करुणा, दूसरे का पुण्य देखकर आनंद का भाव, तथा किसी ने पाप कर्म किया तो मन में उपेक्षा का भाव किया होगा। छोड़ो प्रतिक्रियाएं उत्पन्न होनी चाहिए। द फ्लेम दैट हैज बीन lit today, the Satram that has been started should illuminate our hearts. एक दीप से झले दूसरा, जलते दीप हजार. To quote our beloved अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी, आओ फिर से दिया जलाएं, भरी दोपहरी में अंधियारा, सूरज परछाई से हारा, अंतर तम का नेह निचोड़े, बुझी हुई बाती सुलगाएं, आओ फिर से दिया जलाएं. Let Sri Sri Thakur Ramakrishna's words inspire us to see the divine in all things, to harness self and the ego in the service of the poorest and weakest, so that we find the greater truth that is the essence of all religions. Again, it is the words of the great disciple that I will take as my guide. Let us work on doing as we go whatever happens to be our duty, and being ever ready to put our shoulders to the wheel. Then surely shall we see the light. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We are indeed greatly honored by your presence, Honorable Prime Minister. And thank you for sending a great message that internal change is more important than external change. Now I invite Advocate P. Harikrishnan for the vote of thanks.
Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Das Modi ji, sir, I deem it a great privilege to have been asked to extend a vote of thanks